So today I'm going to do the taco tag because my friend did it and it looked really awesome. So yes, taco tag, and I am wearing the most appropriate shirt. I think, can you see it? It says burrito. Okay, maybe it's just me, but I find this shirt to be completely amusing and very fitting. So on to the first question, I guess, or topic. So, Taco Sudado, the book that was the hardest to read. There are a lot of books that were difficult for me to read, but probably the most difficult was Perdido Street Station by China Miéville. I have read a couple China Miéville stories, like Unlondon and Embassy Town, and I rather enjoyed them, so I thought Perdido Street Station sounded kind of, grungy and edgy and, really interesting. So it should be right up my alley, but oh my gosh, I could not, there was like nothing I liked about this book. It was disgusting and cruel, and just, the story was all over the place, and I didn't like the characters, I didn't like the story, I didn't like the length, I didn't like the prose. I really just did not like this book. But tons of people love it, so I don't know. Anyways, yeah, hardest book for me to read. It took me, I think, 3 months of like forcing myself to go through it to finally finish it. And it's fairly long at like 700 or 800 pages, so yeah, that was torture. The next one is Taco de Pastor, which is the most famous book you have. A lot of the videos I've seen have mentioned Harry Potter, and of course that is definitely one, because it's, of my generation, definitely the most famous. But also The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, I think, are valid contenders. So yeah. Next is Taco de Ojo, the most sensual cover of a book that you have. And I think probably the best choice is Palimpsest by Catherine M. Valenti. The story I wasn't super impressed with, but the cover, I mean, you have to admit the cover is pretty darn sensual. I don't know, sensual? Anyways, yeah, Palimpsest. Next is Taco de Trompa, which is the book you have, the book that people can't stop talking about. And for me, I think that's Eleanor in Park by Rainbow Rowell, or Rainbow Rowell. This book was all over my YouTube. It was my friends were all talking about it. So yeah, Eleanor in Park, and I think it was well deserved. I really, really enjoyed the book, and eventually I will get around to reviewing it. But yeah, most talked about, Eleanor in Park. Next is Tosti Taco, which is your favorite book by an author from the US. This was a really difficult one, but I finally decided that it should be The Orphan's Tales in the Night Garden by Catherine M. Valenti. That's a double Valenti in this, if you can't tell. I really like her. This was the first book by her that I read, and I was immediately hooked. It's really dark and atmospheric, and the language is just beautiful. And there's a second book, The Orphan's Tales in the Cities of Coin and Spice, I think it is, and they're just phenomenal. If you haven't read them and you like dark fairy tales, you should read it, because it's amazing. She does have 2 more in the series, but she's kind of put it on hold with because she's been writing a lot of Fairyland series. I don't know what the name of that series is, but the girl who circumnavigated Fairyland in a ship of her own making, that series. So she sort of stepped away from The Orphan's Tales, but I really hope she goes back to it, because yeah. Next is Taco de Chicharron, which is the biggest book that you have. So the biggest book I have is this one, Third Wish by Robert Fulghum. I'm not sure. This book came with the apartment that I'm staying in, and it is enormous. And I actually don't know what it's about, but I want to read it. The pages are really thick, and there's a lot like multimedia and stories within stories, and there's a CD that goes with it. This is volume 1. There is a second volume, which is also in the other room. So it seems from what I've read about it that it's a good fall read, and that's next month-ish. So I think I might make that my goal, but I probably will only read it at home, which might make it last quite a while. So we'll see. But yeah, The Third Wish. I'm excited. Next is Taco de Arachera, which is the most expensive book you have? Yes, the most expensive book that you have. The most expensive book I have is probably a school textbook, more than likely the Norden Anthology of English Literature Volume 2 from the Romantic period forward. So yeah, you know, English literature. Last is Taco de Caracol. Caracol. Sorry, my Spanish is like super dead. Which is a book that you didn't get or didn't understand the author's intent. I have 2 for this, probably Italo Calvino's If on a Winter's Night a Traveler and Ridley Walker by Russell Hoban. Well, that was totally wrong. Russell Hoban. Yeah. So both Russell Hoban's Ridley Walker is set in sort of like a post-apocalyptic world, and it's really long and weird, and I didn't not enjoy it, but I didn't enjoy it either. It was a really weird book, and I didn't really understand where the author was going with it. Yeah, and If on a Winter's Night a Traveler, I'm sure you'll hear me talking about it later when I review it, was just, there's so much metafiction and changes, and I can't describe it, and it's really, yeah, I didn't get it at all. So that was the tacos tag, which was interesting, really made me think about some things and sort of scan backwards. So that was good. I've enjoyed watching all of the tacos tag videos because I like to know that sort of stuff about people, so it's been interesting. I'm really glad that it was created. So yeah, if you haven't done it, you should do it. It's fun, it's interesting, and if you do it, please link me to it, or if you've done it, please link me to it because I would like to watch it. So yeah, next time.